Oh, I'm so excited. The Fan Morning Show. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm JD Bunkus. That's Ailish Forfar, and I pointed. You can't see that, but she's sitting to the left of me, and Blake Murphy is to the right.
I think people could tell us apart without the visual.
At least by our shoe size.
Yeah.
A little confusing that you're in the NBA jacket, though. I think people would assume that's...
NBA, baby.
Yeah.
League Pass Rankings Day.
And, Blake.
And opening day.
Blake's rubbing off on me. I'm wearing NBA stuff. He's wearing PWHPA women's hockey stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday you called me Ailish Murphy's.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on here.
I think there's not a lot. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. So we're going to do our League Pass rankings. We're going to just do our draft before, but no, Ailish wants to pull cards out of the hat. Actually, I don't trust you. Can you pass
I'm
that
just
to me?
shuffling them.
No, I know,
I
but
do think it was
you've been the
weird
only
that-
one to touch the hat. You've been the only one to touch the cards.
I just am shuffling,
No, pass it
guys.
over.
I am.
Listen, pass it over.
So wait, is the first card drawn the
Okay,
number one
so
pick?
we put, what would happen is everyone put a
first card
credit
drawn is
card
3.
in the hat, and JD's going to pull out.
Blake's going to pull it out.
Blake's going to pull out one by one each card, and then that's the order of what we're picking?
Yeah.
Or you want reverse order?
Reverse order.
Okay.
So number 3, the first
and also
one.
whoever ends up getting pulled out first has to buy the coffee. Like, first place.
Well, no, first
yes,
pick.
first pick.
First pick's buying
All right,
coffee.
go.
Okay, before we do this, can I explain to people what League Pass rankings are for anyone who doesn't know?
I think we should do the draft first.
Do the draft
You
first.
have the picks.
Well, no. What?
Well,
We're going to
his
do the
hand's
draft
in the air,
without
just do
explaining
it.
to people what
fine,
the draft
fine.
is?
My arm is getting tired. I'm holding it above my head. No, it's already been shuffled.
So, Zach Lowe of ESPN has done for a very long time this annual League Pass Power Rankings. And
I don't think he gets credit for it. I feel like I did it before Zach Lowe.
Okay.
Another person stealing your content.
I know.
Basically, you rank the 30 teams in the league based on watchability. So the scenario here is none of us have actual League Pass. We only get to watch 5 teams plus the Raptors for the year. So, and each of us, each of those teams can only go once. So we're going to, Zach's whole thing is he rates them on 5 different categories. We're not following that. We're just doing our own thing.
Because I did
your own
it first.
personal thing.
We're doing what my old roommate Steve and I used to do, which was, we're having one of those nights where it's 9 p.m. and you're on your 4th NBA game, and JD's arms are really tired. I'm dragging
wrap
this
it up. You're like,
We
and my
get
friend
it.
Steve and I do it. Just get to the point.
I'm dragging it out because your arm's above your head. Anyway, so can't repeat teams. Raptors don't count because we all get Raptors as part of it. We are about to pick cards. So the third pick.
Yeah, and the draft goes to me.
You.
Okay. All right.
That's fine. At least I don't have to pay for things.
Second pick.
Oh, no. That's
Second
me.
pick is Ailish.
Oh!
I got the top pick.
Yeah, great. Make sure that's actually your
I'm
card.
going to waste it on something bad. I know it.
Okay,
so.
I'll take second pick. I'm happy with that. And
Actually,
that means
love
Blake has
third.
to buy coffee.
And never forget that Ailish has an American Express.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that's such a scandal.
Well, we live in Canada.
Also,
and
the
most
scam-
places are
anything
like,
to
we don't
do
know
with
what to do
that.
with that.
The scam of coffee being on me again.
Well, you
Yeah.
picked your card.
I know.
All right.
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
It's-
You know
I-
what? I'm really glad.
I brailled it out.
You showed your true colors. I love picking third here because I get 2 picks in a row.
You're on the turn.
All right.
You want to be third. You always want to be
Okay,
third. in
whatever.
the spot. I won. Don't
Good
have
for
to pay
you.
for coffees, and I'm in the most advantageous spot. All right, Blake Murphy in the League Pass rankings. So the team you most want to watch this season goes to.
With the first pick, I'm taking the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh!
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Kevin Durant, James Harden.
Yeah.
My guy Joe Harris. Very strong supporting cast with a nice mix of stylistic play. An okay court aesthetic. I go back and forth on the Bed-Stuy. The Kyrie thing, if Kyrie comes back at some point, gets super interesting. Some flexibility there if things aren't going as well as they'd like for a possible midseason trade. I believe they have a trade exception from the Landry Shamet deal. Your guy, Landry Shamet, getting the big raise yesterday.
Yeah, so I don't have the Nets number 1, but it's probably a bit of an overthink on my part because I feel like if the truth serum comes out, the team that I end up watching the most this year is likely going to be Brooklyn. Like, I feel like they're the team where they're on, and it's just automatically more interesting because they're the Brooklyn Nets. My only sort of pushback to this pick is, one, I don't really love watching James Harden. I respect the hell out of him. I'm curious to see how his game changes, if any, with the new officiating rules.
That's another wrinkle here.
Yeah, that's a cool wrinkle.
And the Harden rules.
Yeah, the Harden rules. I'm a big fan of that wrinkle. I love Kevin Durant. He's just To me, he's
magical, man.
Yeah,
He's
he is
majestic.
I know, and it will never stop hurting that he was drafted to the Sonics, and I'll have that one memory of PJ Carlesimo trying to play him as a point guard. That
Man,
was cool.
I
That was
had
really
a Durant
cool.
Sonics jersey.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think I gave it away at some point.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Anyway, I bought it. This is the saddest part about Katie. This is a quick side tangent story. When Seattle got to pick second in that draft lottery, first of all, I loved Durant. I watched him at Texas. I was much more a fan of Durant than Oden, and I knew that Oden was going to go first. And I went screaming out of my friend's place because I thought it had saved the Sonics, because I was like, there's no way that the team with Kevin Durant ever moves. Wrong. Wrong.
One of the first things I ever wrote was advocating for Durant over Oden.
Yeah. Very good.
Are we going to spend 45 minutes on each pick? Or
No.
I
I think, do you have any thoughts?
Do you want to relax?
Would you take,
I would have picked them first. Yeah. So I'm bitter.
You would have
So
picked
who are you
Brooklyn
picking
first.
second?
Well, now I'm in a. So I pick second, and then JD picks third and fourth, and then I pick fifth.
Yeah. Yeah. So be wise with your choice.
I know.
I think I'm going to get my number 1 and 2 picks.
That's what I want to throw a curveball in there. I'm going to pick.
Well, whoa. It's the second pick in the draft.
Well, because
who are you, Masai?
Yeah. Make a mistake. AKA.
Trade down if you're going to go off board. Pick up an extra pick.
Yeah.
Second pick.
Yeah. Uh-oh. How long does she get before I get to run to the podium and make
5 seconds.
Yeah. 1.
You had all day to prepare.
2.
I'm going to take
3.
the Phoenix Suns.
Okay. Second overall pick, Phoenix Suns. All
Campaign
right, make the
for
case.
my real friends.
I only am picking them second because I thought that you would take them with either third and fourth, and I wanted to make sure I had them because I do actually really enjoy watching the Suns. They have unreal throwback jerseys as well. They're runners up last year. Big Devin Booker fan. I'm happy with my decision to go with them second overall, which seems like a little bit of a high pick, but
it is.
I mean, that's a deep playoff team last year.
Yep.
And they're a team that doesn't get a lot of national games. So you're not seeing the Suns much.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I want to see them more.
So
they also have Jay Crowder, who
Okay, I'm happy with it.
So there's one reason to take them, and I don't think you guys mentioned it, but it's Chris Paul. You get to watch Chris Paul play basketball, and he's Chris Paul. He's one of the most enjoyable basketball players ever.
There's lots of reasons. There's she said, Devin Booker.
But I don't really care about Devin Booker. I got to tell you,
Desert OG, Mikal Bridges.
No, that's actually so rude to OG. Mikal Bridges is not, and
their
not
court
close.
design.
Bridges making a little more cash now.
Yeah, but I just think that we're on the clock with Chris Paul being Chris Paul, obviously. Yeah. And so any night where you can watch him be himself is amazing. Plus, Chris Paul's one of those guys that just can't turn it off ever. So every regular season game you get with him is going to be Chris Paul doing his damnedest. You're never going to tune in and be like, oh, Chris Paul's really just completely checked out tonight. No. That's not Chris Paul. Him and Ayton, the next year of their development together. I do love the pick. I had them fourth.
The Ayton.
Oh, I would have lost them, or no?
No, you would.
The Ayton awkwardness.
Yes.
I would have lost them.
The Ayton awkwardness could be a story as well.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he's going to get his money.
I mean, they basically the deadline. He's going to go to RFA to get that money.
But that's what I think is that they let this year play out, and if Ayton tells them that he's the guy that we were talking about in the second round of the postseason last year, then they go, we'll pay you a ton. Yeah. And if he's the guy that we saw in the finals, then I don't know if there's going to be a huge market for him in the restricted free agency, and they might be able to save a bit. Here's my only thing about that is I think he got screwed. Giannis was amazing, and so the idea that he couldn't cover Giannis in his first finals, and that and they had no one else. There was no backup. There was no anything. No,
because Sarge got hurt.
Exactly.
So then Kaminsky was your backup, and he fundamentally changed his game to fit that team too. If you had told me a year ago he's not getting the max, I'd have been like, yeah, for sure. He's a back to the basket guy who's not very good in pick and roll defense, and then he improved a ton and did what the team needed him to do to fit. And that anyway, JD, you got
so
two picks
excited.
here.
Side note, I do have a sweet throwback Suns windbreaker, which is another reason I needed to make sure that I had them.
White with the orange and
sweet.
purple.
You have to check out my Instagram for it if you want to see it, folks.
So
JD,
I didn't base my picks around what articles of clothing that I have related to the teams. It
was a side hustle thing that I knew I wanted.
There's also no NBA team with coffee stains on their jersey, so who would you even pick?
Yeah, I know. Although I feel like Cleveland kind of has a bit of that. Yeah. I'm getting my number 1 and 3 teams.
Okay.
So I'm pretty excited about picking third and getting back to back. So with my third overall selection, I'm going to take my number 1 overall pick. the Dallas Mavericks.
Wow.
This is a no-brainer. They were the obvious number one choice to me out of the gate. Like, Brooklyn had the strongest case, but here's the thing. Luka Doncic definitely cares about winning MVP this year, and he's in shape. And in case you haven't been paying attention to basketball recently, like, he's actually, it's between he and Kevin Durant as to who is the best player in the NBA now. Is this the year Luka inherits the earth? I think yes. I also think that there's just a million interesting sub-factors with this team. Like, they don't really have a lot that you love, but they have a lot of players that you like. And there was this offseason where Kristaps Porzingis kind of tried to go to the mattresses with Luka and tried to make it like, oh, I thought it was more of a 1A, 1B thing. And Luka was like, yeah, but then I was Luka Doncic and you were Kristaps Porzingis.
And you're Andrea Bargnani.
Yeah, exactly. That's rude. That's not that far.
It's better for marketing. It's a better chirp for marketing.
Yeah, it is. But
also, a pair of Canadians on the Mavs with Dwight Powell and Eugene Omoyuri.
You get two Canadians, and the other part of this is eventually I'm going to start to respect begrudgingly Goran Dragic, and then he's going to go. I'm going to watch basically the Mavericks players that are going to end up on the Raptors.
So you're scouting Moses Brown as part of this league pass
as
ranking.
I'm watching the Mavericks, I get to see the two future Mavericks that come to the Raptors in the exchange for the trade. So yeah, like that's an obvious one. And number two, clearly the Los Angeles Lakers. It's a travesty that they fell here. Like they're the obvious number three. The roster turnover in the Lakers are returning 3 players. All right, 3. They are returning the obvious 2, and then the man who could not be traded for Kyle Lowry.
Horton,
Taylor, Tucker, Torton, Tucker, Taylor. Who cares? Because he's kind of irrelevant. I'm glad that he's not even on this Raptors team.
THT.
Yeah, so good job, by the way, Lakers. Never forget, you kept the one guy who's like, all right.
I mean, he's also like their only guy that's under 35.
Sure. So, that's a good thing. Like, you can't trade him for Kyle Lowry. That's all I know. Not Dennis Schroeder, who you wouldn't give like $3 million to at the end of the year, and Taylor Horton's Here's a Who or whatever the hell his name is.
Also, just for icing on top of it, they claimed Avery Bradley off waivers yesterday. It's like, just in case you needed one more guy in his 30s who hasn't been good for a couple years.
No, but here's the thing is, like, I'm one of those guys who watched Avery Bradley play good defense in his prime, and I've crystallized that. Russell Westbrook, again, I'm not getting cheated in the regular season. He brings it every single night.
Best.
The dynamic between he and AD and LeBron is going to be fascinating. The way that they basically use him, I think, a little bit as, hey, carry us during the regular season, and then when we get to the playoffs, are we going to be able to sort of limit the mileage a bit? They're just a fascinating team. I love Malik Monk. I thought that signing was a little bit underrated.
I wanted him in Toronto.
Yeah, so I really like this Lakers team. I think that they're really fascinating. Did they cut Ariza yesterday?
I don't think so.
Okay, I thought that I saw that Ariza was out as the byproduct of that Avery Bradley move, which made me feel sad because I like Ariza. But anyway, the Lakers are fascinating. It's an incredible team. There's just a million different pieces on it that are fun. And I think that this is probably the last year where we can even come close to making the case that LeBron's the best player in the league. I think we're already kind of lying to ourselves saying that he still is. So, yeah, I'm taking LeBron. I'm taking the 62 games of AD I get and the incredible season from Russell Westbrook.
All right. Tough time zone, though, for you with this hour.
You know what,
job,
though?
But it's worth it.
You know what, though? This is like, guess what? My life is going to be a lot of nights where I watch the Leafs or Raptors at 7, and then I get into bed and I turn on my Mavericks and I watch a half a Luka.
I will say that the time zone was a factor in my rankings. Not so much that I want to avoid the 10 o'clock ones, but I want a mix.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have an 8 or a 9 p.m. team in your mix, I think. And that's where getting Suns off the board early is helpful. Who's going 5th overall here?
I'm ready. With the 5th overall selection, Ailish, 4-fire chooses the Miami Heat.
Kyle.
Way too high.
Nope. No.
Maybe a little high.
Well, I'm not going to, I don't think I would fall any lower in my rankings. I wanted them up there.
I had them 5th.
I have them 13th.
Oh, well, that's
the disrespect.
Obviously just
Kyle, Bam, Jimmy.
Yeah, but here's
Kyle,
the thing.
Bam,
I don't want to watch
Jimmy, Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
The best coach in the NBA.
The Vice jerseys alone.
They ruined the Vice jerseys.
I don't care.
They were so good, and then they tried to overthink it. They were like, again, they're like Mitch Marner in this middle of your power play. We're like, what if we do this? It's like, just do the thing that's better than that.
They got a great court set up when they have those jerseys. I miss Kyle Lowry. I want to watch them.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with my 2 selections so far.
So Heat are a good one.
I actually think the Heat are a great pick if you can stomach the watching Kyle Lowry
I
in
can
the Heat
stomach it.
uniform and having the broadcast constantly talk about Kyle Lowry in a way that Raptors fans have craved for forever. I'm happy for Kyle. I think that this was right. I think that the Raptors actually ended up netting a decent return for him, all things considered.
I mean, Precious looks
yeah,
all right.
that's what I was going to say. I have a little bit of Precious stock. I bought some.
Yeah.
I've tucked it away.
Yeah.
I'm not going to look at it for a couple of years, you know. But
we'll get into that a little more tomorrow with the whole
Exactly.
Raptors preview day.
But I kind of think that Precious might be a thing, and also I really do believe that they're going to turn Dragic into another asset. That like something's coming back for Dragic. If they end up buying him out, it's going to be really, really sad, and that sucks.
The buyout thing's tough too. Like I had a piece up at sportsnet.ca the other day that after the final cuts, they're $1.3 million over the tax.
Yeah,
they're not going to pay the tax in a non-contending year when the tax payout for non-tax teams is going to be huge. They are operating, to me, like they either know that there is a Dragic buyout in February with a lot of money left on the table, or they know they can have a cash negative Dragic deal.
So again, Ailish, I actually like your pick a lot.
You do, eh?
No, I do, but here's the reason why. You did the same theme as I have, which is, does your team try in the regular season? And the Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry team is going to try in the regular season.
If I'm going to stay up and add time to my watching schedule, I want it to be worth it.
And I love Tyler Hero, and I'm a big fan of this like belief he has that he should be considered amongst the Trae Youngs and the Lukas of the world. I thought that was an awesome quote for him, because here's the thing about that guy. I actually think it's like the George Costanza thing. It's not a lie if you believe it. And I really do feel like he's going to come into the season, and I'm kind of like gaslit by Tyler Hero saying, I remember when you were 19 in the finals, and I thought, man, maybe they should be running things through you. Maybe we should put some respect on Tyler Hero's name. Maybe we'll see.
He's got a bag, as they say. He's shown some really nice off the dribble stuff in the preseason.
I like Tyler Hero. I'm a big Tyler Hero fan. I'm ready for the emergence of Tyler Hero, for him to become the face of the Miami Heat franchise. Right. He and Bam Adebayo.
And Dunkachino. Yeah.
I'm not a big Duncan Robinson guy.
I mean, it's really nice to have a guy who shoots 10 threes a game on a high. We got to get this rolling.
I just know how I felt when he was rumored to be coming to the Raptors, and I was like,
but that wasn't a thing. Okay. I don't think.
All right. Well, I'm just saying it was out there. It was kicked around, and my reaction was, no thanks.
All right, I got 6 and 7.
You got 6 and 7.
I'll keep it quick because these ones are straightforward. I'll take the Golden State Warriors and the Denver Nuggets. Golden State Warriors, healthy-ish version of them, trying to make this comeback year toward the end of their window. I think Steph Curry is going to go nuclear. I think Steph Curry is the best MVP vet on the board in terms of potential value there. Clay will come back at some point. Denver Nuggets, fairly straightforward. You got the reigning MVP.
Murray.
Michael Porter Jr. could potentially take a leap. Bones Highland is one of my favorite rookies in the league. Campazzo is not a guy you want starting in the playoffs, but until Jamal Murray comes back, he's a lot of fun and throws a couple of ridiculous passes every game. And then you got my guy Jamal Murray coming back at some point in the season. This is a team that I think would have been in the finals had Murray not got hurt. And I think that there are some real questions about their long-term flexibility with their cap sheet. But I think if Jamal Murray comes back at anything resembling Jamal Murray, this is a really dangerous team by the end of the year.
So initially I had the Nuggets pretty low. And then, because I texted you last night that, hey, I did my gut rankings, and then I did my, hey, I'm going to step away from this and see if I can actually justify having this team below them. And let's try to be, tell the truth. Tell the truth. Are you really going to watch the Memphis Grizzlies over the Denver Nuggets, JD? I was like, no, you're not. Don't lie. Don't lie. Just do it. You're going to watch Jokic. Here's my thing, though. I don't really know what I'm supposed to care about. I don't care about Michael Porter Jr., and I'm actually kind of terrified that they gave him all that money and there's no Jamal Murray, and he's kind of out there like, I'm a max player.
You have 3 max guys, a big deal for Aaron Gordon. You don't. Yeah. They're going to be in cap hell soon.
I like Jokic. I really like Jokic. That's the whole draw for me, is that I'm just picking this one or you're picking that one. But if I'm you, I love having Jokic and being like, oh, I get to watch him every single night. Watching Jamal Murray come back from this injury, I think could be a bit of a chore. And I think it could be painful watching himself try to work himself back into this offense. And I think there's also a reality where Michael Porter Jr. usurps him in terms of where they're sending the touches, and that Jamal Murray becomes some kind of like sixth man-ish type of role.
They need his ball handling really badly,
maybe.
Though.
I thought Campazzo. I thought that was.
Well, you don't want him starting. He's just fun. All right, Ailish.
All right. Holy smokes, guys!
We gotta roll
Speed
through
this
these.
up.
Lots of time.
No, the clock is ticking. Okay, with the 8th overall choice, I'm selecting Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay.
Drama.
I want the drama. I want to see the Ben Simmons situation play out. I want to know, especially after we saw some interesting stuff from yesterday. I can't get enough of it. Hook it to my veins. That's why I'm choosing them.
I'm sick of them.
Nope,
like
I want
love
it.
watching Embiid.
Yeah, well,
I like Shake
Embiid
Milton.
alone is
I
worth
like-
that
yeah,
selection.
I like Jaden Springer and Seth Curry's cool, but I've had enough. Like the Simmons Embiid lineups have dummied the league in the regular season a couple years in a row. This is where the Leafs parallels keep coming back. I'm interested to see what it looks like in the playoffs. I don't need to see more of regular season 76ers.
I don't care at all because the most interesting Sixers stuff is going to happen off the court. The more interesting stuff with the Sixers is going to happen at practice. It's going to happen at the podium when Joel Embiid talks. I hate this pick because you're getting
That's rude.
You're getting like 20 games where Joel Embiid sits this year, right? Like they're obviously going to load manage Embiid, right? Unless he has a real shot at MVP.
Well,
which
I'll
he's
be
not
able to
going
find out because they're one of my teams. I'll be watching.
And then what? You're going to watch Tobias Harris? Yeah, I think Ben Simmons getting traded.
No problem.
I don't know how anyone could have seen what's happened over the last couple of days and been like, this is definitely a guy who's making good inroads with his teammates. They're definitely healing. The healing process has begun. I just don't really like a lot of players on the Sixers. I really don't love anybody. I would say that Maxey is probably my most enjoyable watch on their team, and so I just don't have them that high. That brings me to my 2 picks.
Great.
Are we done with the Sixers?
Yeah.
I'm not waiting. I don't think either of you were going to draft them. Maybe Blake would, though, so I can't do it any longer. The Charlotte Hornets. I'm
They were
so
highest on my board right now.
Yeah,
I thought I could see them through.
I knew. And I'm so in love with Charlotte. I actually might abandon the Raptors to become a Charlotte Hornets fan. That's how serious I am about this relationship.
I know you downplayed the aesthetic element earlier, but it's got to play some factor in the Hornets pick, right? Like their games are just so beautiful to watch.
It's not that plays a factor, but also I just look at their team and they have 10 guys I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Like they have 10 players that I want to watch. Obviously, Blake knows that Terry Rozier is one of my greatest loves in the league. I love Scary Terry. I'm a huge LaMelo Ball guy. I thought that one of the crappiest things about last season was when he got hurt and we just lost what was going to be such a fun rookie season. They have just a bunch of wings that can play. And now if Gordon Hayward gets hurt, I'm not as, oh no, we can't watch this team. And then they also drafted 2 rookies that are really fascinating guys. The one thing that the Hornets didn't have last year was any big men. And they got
Kai Jones is cool.
Yeah, Kai Jones is cool.
He's far away, but he's cool.
He is, but that's the thing is he gets to play behind Plumlee, who actually fits great with this team, who is kind of just knows his role, doesn't need touches, doesn't need to have any attention, can just kind of bang around the glass, play some defense, shelter my guy Kai Jones, and then Book Knight, who in the tournament was terrible, but overall has one of the most complex scoring packages on the team. They just have so many weapons, so many guys who can score, so many guys who are interesting in isolation. They have the ball factor. I just love the Hornets. I'm so thrilled to be taking them.
Yeah, I thought this is you'll get mad at me for this, but I thought the end of roster stuff with them was cool too, where Scotty Lewis on a 2-way is fun. There's a lot of personality there. I love JT Thor as a deep bench developmental big. There's some cool stuff there. Who's your other pick?
My other pick is the Chicago Bulls. I actually think that I'll probably abandon them, but I get DeMar.
Yep.
I get the other Ball brother, so I got the balls, Like I'm basically, I'm LeVar. Like I'm here, I've got my 2 sons. I'm like, we're going to the show, baby. Respect LeVar Ball, He had 2 sons who are awesome basketball, and we only talk about how LiAngelo didn't make it. And what happened with him? He was like really good, and didn't he make the Hornets?
No, he's going to their G League team. He was one of those like sign and wave
whatever. That's
guys.
part of the Hornets watch too.
Oh yeah, the Greensboro Swarm.
I just think it's going to be fun watching this team with 0 defense and DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine in a contract year and
Vooch.
I kind of think Vucevic is one of the more I don't care about players, but the rest of their roster I'm very invested in. I get the jerseys. I think it's like a pressure packed year on them. I'm very interested. I have to pee, so I think we should take a break and come back.
Wow.
Or do you just want to like bang these out really quick? No explanation.
I have to pee. And it's like
it's an emergency situation, eh?
No, we'll come back. We'll do more League Pass rankings. We got time in Text Line Tuesday.
That's the first 10 picks. Ailish on the clock with pick number 11.
That's right. It's the Fan Morning Show. Sportsnet 59 of the Fan. It's the Fan Morning Show. Sportsnet 59 of the Fan. I'm JD Bunkus, Blake Murphy, and with the next pick in our League Pass rankings. So for those of you that are just tuning in, we're drafting the teams that we most want to watch this NBA season. Right now, obviously, I have the best group of teams. It's not even close.
We'll see. We'll get Zach Harper to weigh in on this later.
Except for Zach, we already know that he's close with you, and so he's just going to be like, "Oh, sorry." And we have to tell him like, "You can't. We're not attaching the names to the teams."
You don't know Zach if you think he's going to come on here and play nice with me. He's going to come on here to take shots at me. It's that kind of friendship.
Eilish Forfar.
Yeah, this is like our second round. This is Mark Tatum's out here instead of Adam Silver now.
It's also Text Line Tuesday, so fire away 590-590. We'll read some text in this block, or you can DM me on Instagram at JD Bunkus. You can get us always on Twitter at Eilish Forfar, at Blake Murphy ODC, and at JD Bunkus. Okay, Eilish, pressure time. This is where people get paid.
Oh yeah,
this is where legends are made. Yeah, late round picks that get hit on.
Anyone could pick the Nets first overall.
Yeah.
Who are you taking 11?
Yeah,
with the 11th choice in today's draft, I take the Milwaukee Bucks.
Defending champs.
Giannis. Fear the deer. Pretty self-explanatory there.
I mean, they're the champs.
They're
champions
the champs.
till they ain't the champions no more.
I think the interesting thing with them, and something I want to talk about with Zach later in the show, is what we're really expecting from the Bucks this year. I actually think that I ranked them too low. I should have had them higher. But I'm always fighting I want to see the new players and the new thing. And then as soon as the season starts, I'm like, oh my God, I just signed up to watch Cade Cunningham and the crappy Detroit Pistons for 82 games instead of just picking Giannis because I was bored of them playing good. That was dumb.
Yeah,
so
but now the tough part this year is you have to watch Grayson Allen now when you watch the Bucks.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm a Grayson Allen guy.
Yeah, of course you are.
Here's something you may not know about me, Joe Rogan. I like heels in sports.
Yeah.
So that actually only adds to it for me. But yeah, it's
he's good. So
are we thinking the Bucks are going to be status quo, or do we think that Giannis is going to have some continuation of unlocking the player that we saw in the finals, where when it was all said and done, we sat back and went, holy crap, we've been nitpicking this guy's game since he arrived in the NBA. And we've been looking for what he should be doing and what he should be adding and blah, blah, blah. And then he sort of all put it together and was so dominant that it was one of the greatest finals performances by an individual in the history of the game. So if Giannis becomes the kind of like gunslinger who does it all on his own and tries to topple the Brooklyn Nets, who are less that now without Kyrie, I don't know. I think that if you're picking one game this season that you get to watch, it's obviously Brooklyn-Milwaukee, right? So I think that's a really good value pick from the standpoint of like you're getting the team. Like you guys get
we can watch it together. JD doesn't get to watch that game.
I know. I'll be outside going, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, you have to come by the Murphys.
Yeah. You guys get a little thing that's got carved in wood over the door that hangs down. I'm into it. Whose pick is it now?
It's
Blake has back-to-back picks.
I got a pair here. I'm going with the Fort Wayne Mad Ants of the G League.
Yeah, of course.
And Zenit St. Petersburg of the Russian League.
Mm-hmm.
No. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Hawks and the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay.
And the tough one here, there's a team I'm leaving on the floor that I think you're going to take, JD, that I'm very interested to see this year. And I have them, basically I have those three teams ranked together. And then there's one team that I think will slide through and I can get as an undrafted free agent. But Grizzlies, Hawks, the Hawks are just awesome offensively. Trae Young's a blast to watch. You want to talk about heels. He's finding his
king of it.
He's finding his persona there. I've always had a soft spot for the Grizzlies too, in general, but also since the couple of trades, and they have a couple Canadians, and they are a pretty fun team. Losing Jonas hurts, but what are you gonna do?
I really like Ja.
Steven Adams, the league's preeminent beersman.
Maybe it's because Steven Adams to me represents the Oklahoma City Thunder becoming the Oklahoma City Thunder, or like he's such a Thunder guy, and also that it was like I always sort of rooted against his success because he was a part of the Lowry deal. He was the first round pick that went out for Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, like down the line, it got traded again, and then
it still was. And so I always rooted against that because I didn't want it to be Giannis. Like I didn't want it to be that kind of a thing. I think that the most interesting thing for them, outside of obviously our care for Dylan Brooks, that's going to be oversized as Canadians,
Triple J,
is I was going to say that. What are you? Because he just got paid. And everyone always tells me Jaren Jackson is amazing. And yet I've watched a decent amount of Grizzlies games and I've always been kind of left a little cold. And so
he's not a bad pick for most improved because
Sure.
if it clicks, it's really going to click.
I'm just saying this kind of feels like the year where I actually need to see what Jaren Jackson actually
too bad.
Yeah.
They're my league pass team. You don't get to watch them.
All right, Ailish.
I'm struggling. This is my
okay.
last pick. It's down to 3 different teams. That
I know. I'm having a tough time too. Now I know that my actual internal rankings are fraudulent because I've talked myself into 4 different picks.
Also, I know who you're taking with your last pick if they're on the board.
That's who I think he's taking too, which is why I want.
Are you going to take them? You're 14th overall.
Do it. I dare you. Make me choose the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I'm going to take the Pelicans.
That's it.
That wasn't it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was the one I left on the board that I thought you're such a big Zion guy.
That's what I thought. I want to see what your boy Zion has to do this year.
Whenever he shows up.
But
whenever he shows up.
That's it. Is like, if I'm drafting the Pelicans, that means I have to watch a lot of games without Zion. And I have zero interest in watching the Brandon Ingram team.
Come on. Nikhil Alexander-Walker.
No.
All sorts of stuff.
If I'm watching someone from that family, I'm drafting Oklahoma City and I'm going all in on the Shea season. I love Zion. I'm not even joking. I think I have the Pelicans 5th from the bottom or 6th from the bottom because of just the Zion's not there. And I think that every day he sits on the sideline, he's probably like, Zion to me just seems like one of those guys where he eats a carrot and he's like, how did I add 3 pounds? I'm like, I know, man. Like, we don't know what to do here.
So I like the Pelicans a lot, obviously with Zion, but I think they're
Zion to me, they're top 10. If he's healthy this season, I'm like, oh yeah.
But they're also a really good basketball nerd team.
Yeah.
So you have Nikhil. Jose Alvarado is one of my favorite 2-way flyers in the league.
I knew that.
And then down the roster, you've got Herbert Jones, Kyra Lewis, Najee Marshall, Trey Murphy. That's a really exciting group of young guys. That
I got to tell you, I didn't know any of those names.
1 or 2 of those guys click, they get pretty fascinating. And they have Jonas to hold you over until Zion's back.
I got to tell you this too. All due respect to Jonas Valanciunas, he's come on the radio with me a couple of times and seems like a good dude. I literally became friendly with Alvin Williams over watching games with him where I just crapped on the Raptors having Valanciunas. And I don't think it's a coincidence that, I'll never forget being on the right side of history of people being like, they traded Jonas Valanciunas and DeLon Wright for Marc Gasol and going, this is a massive ripoff for the Raptors. Like, the discrepancy in terms of what one team is getting back is monumental.
Yeah, it's Marc Gasol.
Yeah, I know. So
we don't need to still hold JV to that.
I do. I was never a JV guy. The JV hive always rubbed me the wrong way. So yeah, I actually don't love that he's there. I don't want someone in the paint where I want Zion to be.
Well, I said specifically to hold you over until Zion's back.
Just saying, I don't have them very high. I think that it's time to fire Griffin. It's time to revamp things, and it's time to free Zion and let him play somewhere.
JV's
where
got his
there's
last
fans.
pick.
Well, I was going to just ask, what you're excited about the Pelicans because you drafted the Pelicans and then JD and I took over.
That's all right.
Shocker.
Yeah. Wow. You tried, but she made the pick despite me. That's why I took over.
I actually did
here it
do
is,
that.
15th, last pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I love the NBA, so there's a case for so many teams here. But I have to go with my board, and I have to not overthink it, and I'm going to take the New York Knicks. We get to find out. I think Julius Randle is just Pascal Siakam 2.0, where the league gets way too excited about a guy who's just okay. And so you come back the following season, and everyone's like, wait, what? You're MVP? Old alligator arms? I'm like, I don't think so. Here's why I'm most interested in them. One, expectation with the Knicks. That matters. That's always going to be fun. But RJ Barrett, it's just...
RJ's going to be fun this year.
That's it. I said it with Jaren Jackson. There are certain players that I'm looking towards this season. Like if we had done a different ranking of who needs to prove something, who needs to do something.
That would be completely different. Yeah.
I know, but no, of course. I'm saying,
it's like,
I'm not trying to change the rules of the
like,
draft on the fly. I
hold
wasn't
on
trying to make the last pick and go and now I'm actually revealing the true purpose of this draft. No, but it's simply this, is that I think RJ Barrett is very much in a prove me spot. There's a lot of people that look at him and think that he is not the prince that was promised. He is the guy who's like, no, but that's what I'm saying.
I know. I'm optimistic.
Yeah,
He's
so
improved a lot within season each of the last 2 years.
Well, I mean, his first season was as bad as you can possibly be. So,
but even by the end of that season, he was much better than at the start of that season. The 3-point shot looks pretty good. I'm not gonna maybe kick at that football again just yet, but he shot 40% on them last year, and he shot like almost 50% in the preseason.
I like the Knicks.
I always think this is the thing we've talked about with Wiggins before. I always think the guys getting national team reps, playing with other players and playing large roles and stuff is good.
Yeah, so
I think RJ's going to be there, man.
I just like the Knicks in general, though. Like, I like Mitchell Robinson. I like Taj Gibson. I like that they brought in Evan Fournier. I actually think that that's going to be a nice fit. We get the Kemba Walker gets to play in front of New York, like the last great New York point guard, and he's back. And I don't think that's going to rejuvenate, ACLs or whatever is going on with Kemba's legs. But
Deuce McBride, that's a fun rookie.
You and I watch very different things when we watch basketball games. I think I'm excited about
Deuce
let's watch
McBride
Kevin Durant, and you're like,
I'm excited about Deuce McBride and Chris Jericho Sims.
No, that's not a guy. That's not a guy. Chris Jericho is not a guy.
Jericho Sims is a guy. I threw the Chris in there
like,
just a little wrestling brain.
So I think that the Knicks are the most aesthetically pleasing team to watch in the NBA when they're at home on their court and they're wearing the blues or the whites. Man. Yeah, it's like I don't know. I just think it's a huge year for RJ, and they have a bunch of players that I enjoy watching. And
it's always like high drama if they're not good.
Right. And so I actually think that now I've talked myself into this definitely being the pick. Okay. Do you guys want to do undrafted free agent?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's your pick?
Well, wouldn't you have to go then?
No, it's okay. I'll let you go first. Okay, you want me to go first?
Well, that's the rules.
No, Eilish can.
Why?
It's undrafted free agent. These
none of
free
this
agents
matters.
are signing with the teams that they want to sign with the most.
Exactly.
And obviously, these teams would like to watch a game with you. The best. Because
then I choose the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I have them really high, actually. So
because of my boy Kevin Pangos, who is an East Gwillimbury local. Shout out to Sharon, Ontario, L0G1V0.
You and Blake love watching like the bench in basketball games.
Well,
like, you guys are like, wow, I can't wait for the final 2 minutes of the blowout.
There's been one athlete ever from this hometown.
I know, I'm just teasing you guys because Blake's out here talking about the G League teams that are on the 15th guy.
Yeah, you get Evan Mobley. Sexton and Garland can be cool. Rubio's nice to look at. Jared Allen's fun.
That's the one for me, is that Garland, I think, is primed as one of those breakout players that this is kind of that year. Yet he plays with Colin Sexton, who is going to be the number one reason why Garland might not break out.
Or he's going to hit the block.
Yeah, and I think he will. And I've already said that I think that the best trade for Philly involves something to do where they go, we'll give you Colin Sexton, Kevin Love, and draft picks. Give us Ben Simmons, who can now play pick and roll with Evan Mobley, Evan Mobley's everybody's guy because Raptors Twitter fell in love with him in the draft process, and he became
draft Twitter just in general. He's really good.
Yeah, but he was kind of the dream scenario for Raptors fans of falling to them
or trading up.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, is once the rumors came out that the Raptors were interested in trading up, it was very clear that was the guy they were interested in trading up for.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised, knowing the Raptors, if Mobley was 1 on their board, not 2 behind Cade. And that's how it got framed, as okay, Cade's going 1, but 2, 3, 4 teams might have those guys ranked differently.
Yeah. I think that's why
I like Mobley a lot.
I think that's why they made the Scotty Barnes pick, is because it was the same thing where Masai missed out on Giannis, and then he drafted Bruno, and then Masai missed out on Mobley, and he drafted Scotty Barnes because he was like, I wanted somebody with the higher upside with the size, and he fell in love with that, and then he's going to end up missing on the better player in Jalen Suggs.
So good signing, Eilish.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was a good one.
I
That was a great
appreciate
pick. Blake, do you want to go?
Yes, I'm going to. We talk about basketball nerdery. This team is going to be almost unwatchably bad, but in the most interesting way possible.
Can I guess who you're picking? Oklahoma City?
Yeah. Signing the Thunder. We get Shea. We get
that
Dort.
was who I was debating between as well.
So you get Shea and Dort as Canadians. You get Paul Watson, honorary Canadian. Poku, who is just unbelievably fascinating to watch. Josh Giddey, who is like aesthetically like one of the coolest rookies coming in the class this year, and just like talk about passes that you didn't even think that angle was possible, let alone see it as an option. And he's
talk about guys we're going to talk about saying, how the hell did this guy get picked so high? But
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I do. I think I know about that. I think that one, again, the theme of today's show, overthinks. That pick, I think, is going to be overthink. I like it, though. I think that there's a lot of reason to watch Thunder games. And I've said this before, but like I would much rather pick a team that is fascinating, that has a bunch of interesting young pieces that could emerge, over taking a team where I know what they are. Like, I try to talk myself into Boston for stretches because I was like, oh, I get Jason Tatum and another year of him and Brown trying to figure it out. They brought in Cantor, who I love. It's like, nah, I can't do that. I know what the Celtics basically are, and I don't want to watch Celtics games. That's why I'm taking my Orlando Magic.
Okay.
They're fun.
First of all, I love Suggs. If anybody listens to me on this platform for a while now, I've been basically advocating. I at one point last year said I would take Jalen Suggs first overall in the NBA draft. That changed because I wanted Mobley, and I, much like the Raptors, was like, yeah, let's see what Mobley can do. I just think Suggs is a ultimate does everything for you guy that you're just never left disappointed. They also have Markelle Fultz, who's working his way back. And if you remember when Fultz got hurt, he was sort of having this little breakout moment. And I wonder if this tandem of Fultz being around a guy like Suggs, who just doesn't have a let-up button, who's just constantly like, we're going to work hard, and if you don't improve, I'm going to take touches from you, I'm going to become this team's leader. If those two guys become something good, I think that the Magic...
They've got Cole Anthony in the mix there, too. So there's...
Not as high on him.
I know, but competition-wise.
Yeah, but I just think that I like Wendell Carter. I thought that he was a good player coming out of the draft. I think
like that
now,
contract as a bet, too.
Yep. And I thought that trade was really good for Orlando. I couldn't understand the trade from Chicago's perspective last season. I thought that it was a massive, massive overpay. I like the Magic's roster. I just think that they're kind of an interesting team. I get T-Ross. I get Gary Harris. Like, there's
they
just
have
some...
both Wagners.
Yeah. That's, by the way, I didn't know that they had Mo. I knew that they drafted...
the floater god, Antoine Moore, Robin Lopez. There's all sorts of...
Yeah, that's what I mean. The Magic are interesting.
Let me throw a breakout player at you, too. Chuma Okeke.
Okay.
I think he's a guy.
All right. You heard it here. Blake Murphy.
Yeah.
You said it. That's the thing.
He's a guy.
So that's the draft. We'll recap it later with Zach Harper. I think this was a great draft. This was very successful. I'm very happy with just the way everyone drafted in general, because I'll tell you this. There is no team that was drafted by anyone here that, like, I have all of the teams picked.
It wasn't in your top 20.
No one's below. In fact, the only team that was me, because I took the Magic instead of Minnesota that I had higher, but I knew as soon as I saw it, I was like, you're lying to yourself. You're trying to talk yourself into skinny Karl Anthony Towns, and then you're going to watch 5 games of Karl Anthony Towns and go like, oh, right, he hates it there. He's
yeah, I think the one snub people might have issues with is no Dame and the Blazers.
I have them like dead last.
Oh, okay.
I have these are my last.
It's Dame. Dame's really he's always entertaining.
Yeah, it's just that, again, I said the thing about the Celtics, how it's like, I already know what you are. And I'm not going to learn anything new. I've seen a million Portland Trailblazers games, and I know what the ceiling is as a team. And I actually feel bad for their fan base, because I look at Portland and I say, all that's going to happen here is Dame is going to validate his trade request. You're going to go into the season, you're going to look like the same Portland Trailblazers, and instead of moving him this offseason, which you should have done when you could have gotten the most for him, you're waiting. It's how I feel about Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns, too. I'm not going to bring that up with Zach Harper about how they have to trade him, but they have to trade him now. And that's the way I feel with Dame, is like, the longer you let this go, the less you're going to get in return, and the more likely it is that you end up with Ben Simmons or whatever crappy Sacramento trade package they offer. But yeah, you get my gist here, is that I hate watching fan bases go down this like path.
You know who I'm excited to watch on the Timberwolves this year? All the former Raptors when they trade them for Karl Anthony Towns. That's not going to happen, but...
Well, it might, because you just said it.
The Raptors
you know
are...
what, though? Siakam... Let me do this. Siakam and what for Towns?
I don't know. It's pick equity is the big thing.
A lot of picks, right?
Right. And who knows if the new ownership has the appetite for the teardown?
I'm just saying. And then if you're Minnesota, you can flip Siakam for more stuff too if you don't want it, or you can be like, hey, finally we have a guy who...
The super interesting scenario is where the Raptors just throw every pick possible at it with salary filler, and then you play with Towns and Siakam together, because Towns is kind of the ideal big man next to Siakam as a guy who can space the floor and handle a little bit.
What's the salary filler though?
I mean, it's going to... Basically, you're going to throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, And the trade
But what
is,
even contracts do they have is what I'm saying.
well, I mean, Dragic's
yeah.
$20 million goes a long way.
Okay. All right.
But it's mostly, Minnesota's going to put it out around the league. And it's like, okay, well, are you going to give us A-chip prospects?
Yeah.
And the Raptors would have to go, well, here's 4 future firsts and a bunch of pick swaps.
You know what I love about Raptors fans? If you pitch them they're going to send Goran Dragic and draft picks and Scotty Barnes for Karl Anthony Towns, who's one of the most skilled bigs ever. Raptors fans would be like, you can't trade Scotty Barnes. He's already over so hard with Raptors fans that they're like, you can't trade this guy who can't shoot for Karl Anthony Towns. There's just no way you can do it. You can't trade the most unproven guy in the top 5 for Cat. Just can't go. Can't happen. Right?
I guess.
You guess?
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't sound like somebody who's the hardest line Team Scotty like I thought you were.
I like, yeah. I want to see him in the real moments.
Guess what?
So
seeing him in the real
soon.
moments versus the fake ones, you're going to enjoy these times where it was G League and no stakes. And I think that's going to be a little different now when we're 14 games in the season and people are like, so he's really not going to shoot any jump shots that go in, huh? Huh. All right. That's cool. What's Karl Anthony Towns doing? JD, you still doing that fake trade or what? The Fan Morning Show, Sportsnet 59 The Fan. I'm JD Bunkus, Ailish Forfar, Blake Murphy. We're previewing the NBA season. We did our League Pass rankings. I obviously eviscerated both of you. This really wasn't close. We'll ask Zach whose teams he would pick. We won't attach the names. We'll do it all in the up and up. But before we even do that with him, I just need to say one quick thing, and we'll bring him in on this. Everybody in Raptors land is very excited about OG Anunoby this season. And I'm starting to get a little scared that the rest of the NBA, he's kind of the hipster pick by a lot of people to be a breakout guy this year. And it has the antennas up. And I just I feel like every day I wake up and there's a new person who's like, have you ever heard of OG Anunoby? I'm like, mm-hmm.
He's ours.
Just saying. It's being noted over here. Zach Harper, NBA writer with The Athletic and the excellent Count the Dings podcast network. What's up, buddy?
How you guys doing?
Doing well. So do you want to gush about OG? You want to tell us about how you learned about him and how you like him and how he's great at a lot of things and he's your breakout pick?
I mean, I watched him in college in Indiana,
and
I thought he was So I knew about him way before.
Yeah, I know.
Toronto Raptor. Yeah. It's not a big deal. Okay, It's not a big deal.
Our producer watched him in high school though, so you're not ahead of it, but that's cool. Yeah.
I mean, I knew his parents.
Yeah.
He was confused. No, that got weird. Never mind. I take that back. I mean, I always thought pretty highly of him. He hurt his knee in college, and so that I think that kept him from being a lottery pick. And so he's always had talent. It's just a matter of him being on the court and being healthy enough to work on his game during the offseason. I don't think people realize that's the biggest way to develop for a lot of these guys is to be healthy enough to be able to just work on your game in the offseason as opposed to trying to get back to square one to where you can then work on your game. And so with OG, he's really good. I don't know what breakout means this year. Is he going to be dropping 25 points a game or 20 points a game or whatever? Is he going to be a defensive player of the year candidate? I don't know what breakout means, but yeah, I think people expect him to be the second best player on the Raptors once Pascal's back and healthy and himself again. And so, I guess he's not really a household name unless you're a basketball nerd like us, but yeah, OG's awesome.
Zach, thank you for coming on so early. Is Boogie even up yet? Has he even bothered you for a walk, or is he still? No. He's snoring. He's just middle of the bed right now. He's a real nuisance. Wow. Well, appreciate you coming on. You mentioned OG and maybe even.
We should just real quick clarify that my dog's name is Boogie.
Yeah,
Thank you.
not
I don't know if
you're not
anyone
hanging
else
out with
knows.
DeMarcus
Okay,
Cousins.
just wanna make sure- right,
You're
yeah, just
a
wanna
real
make sure
professional.
everyone knows
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. You mentioned OG, maybe defensive player of the year, maybe that's far off the board. Like he's plus 3,300. It's not great odds. But you look at him, Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes, if you have a level of faith in Precious Achiuwa fitting that scheme, Fred VanVleet, obviously quite good. You had the Raptors at 17 in your latest power rankings at The Athletic, but you predicted that they'd finish with a top 10 defense thanks to that switchable, versatile core. What do they have to do at the other end of the floor to nudge a little higher in those rankings?
I think actually they just need to be, if they were like an average offense, I think that they would have a lot of success this year. Like they don't need to be like top 10 in offense, top 10 in defense. Like you don't really need that. Like you've had a bunch of teams on the other side of that the last year or two where like New Orleans was a great offensive team, but a historically bad defense. Sacramento was a really good offensive team, a historically bad defense. Portland even, right? Portland was a historic offense and a historically bad defense. Like you don't need to have these extremes on either end. Like the Raptors just need to knock down 3-pointers. They need to rebound. And they need to probably get to the free throw line. And if they do that and keep turnovers low, like they don't need to look like the 2014 Spurs or anything like that on offense. They just need to be steady. You just can't have those valleys. Like the peaks are great, but you can't have the valleys. And I think that's my concern with the Raptors offense is it going to be such wild swings that you don't know what you're getting from night to night? Hopefully Goran and Fred can kind of keep that steady. I'm a huge Precious Achiuwa guy, so I thought that was a great pickup for them. And they're going to need, especially on the defensive end, like the switchability and everything's great, but if you can't end possessions with rebounds, it doesn't really mean anything. So I just think it's going to sound so cliche, but like it really will take a team effort with them to close out these possessions or to maximize these possessions on offense. And just, again, like if you're just a flat line across the board, that's so much better for them than just being up and down and up and down.
Yeah, and I think that's certainly not going to be linear. There are going to be some downs, especially early on with no Siakam, and as they give Scotty Barnes a lot of playmaking duty. It does make the Raptors fairly interesting. And Zach, earlier this morning, while you were still sound asleep out on the West Coast, Ailish, JD, and I drafted League Pass teams for the year. We didn't do the whole league. We just did our 5 picks each. The Raptors were not eligible because we obviously get all those games. You are, like us, into the nerdery of basketball. It's not just the big names. It's you want to see where LaMelo's going. You want to see if Nickeil Alexander-Walker could take the jump, all that stuff. So Ailish is going to read out to you the 3 teams that were drafted.
Honestly, if you don't pick my team, I think that you should have your podcast taken away.
We're not going to tell you who drafted which team. Ailish is just going to read them out, but you are going to be the judge here of who drafted the best League Pass team. Like, whose place are you going to if these are the only 5 teams that they can watch?
No pressure, but again, your podcast is on the line.
Okay. All right. Team A: Nets, Warriors, Nuggets, Hawks, and Grizzlies.
Oh, that's a good team right there. That's a really good team.
Okay. Team B: Suns, Heat, 76ers, Bucks, and Pelicans.
Oh, that's a good team too.
Okay.
They're impressive so far.
Okay.
All right.
And then Team C: Mavericks, Lakers, Hornets, Bulls, and Knicks.
Oh, wow. Well, I think my 2 biggest nerdy, I think everyone should be watching these 2 teams are the Hawks and the Grizzlies. Like those 2 would be in my top 5 of so the first team I think to me wins.
Zach,
because it's got two of my sleepers.
Come on,
Zach, thank you so much, man.
Hey, you guys, congrats on your new podcast.
Wait. Who's your second place team?
Yeah. Who's second?
Who's second place?
Oh,
would you like them to be
can you
read
read
again?
the other 2 teams real quick? Yeah, please.
Team B is.
I just don't want to mix them.
No worries. Team B: Suns, Heat, 76ers, Bucks, and Pelicans. And Team C was Mavericks, Lakers, Hornets, Bulls, and Knicks.
See, these two teams are excellent. They're tied, but tie goes to Zion, even if he's only there for 20 games. But yeah, I got to go with the team that's got talent. Zion is worse than
baby.
Price. Oh, no. Is my podcast done?
So,
Yeah. JD's right
JD's
now. So we have a
best.
working doc, and he's erasing all the things that we would normally plug for you. So
No,
we
yeah.
don't have it in front of
Yeah,
us.
that's
No.
fair.
here's the
I don't
thing.
remember him anyway. So
It's
that's
pretty
fine.
wild to be an NBA writer when you don't watch the NBA. That's all I'm going to say. It's like, that's pretty crazy. Like,
You know
congrats to
what?
you. It's like, way to
You've
trick
been reading
everybody.
the comments on
Yeah.
the power rankings. You've been reading the comments because it turns out
I'm going to be writing the comments
Yeah.
now. That's what's going to be happening. I'm going to be in there and be like, what does this guy know? He doesn't even like the Hornets. I have the Hornets. I got them in the 3rd round. You know how incredible that is? It was fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. It is what it is. You guys live your happy life
I
with
feel
the
good.
Denver Nuggets, and watching Michael Porter Jr. every night take way too many shots. That's fine. You and Blake on the podcast, you can break it down every single week. So, I actually like all the teams. I'm very excited for this NBA season. And what I like about the NBA right now is that for a while with the Warriors, I think we underappreciated the Warriors to a certain degree, but it did feel like it was like, all right, why do we even care about this? It's going to be LeBron and the Warriors in the finals, and all of this stuff is window dressing. And now it really does feel like, especially with the Kyrie story, where maybe he's not even around, that maybe Brooklyn's a little bit more vulnerable. Maybe this thing is up for the taking. This is the question. Who's the team that you don't think was a contender that might be a contender this year, or is there one?
That's a really good question. A team that I don't think was a contender but might be this year. I actually think the Hawks are like capable of getting back to the conference finals. If you get to the conference finals, you should be a contender, right? Or you should be considered a contender. Like I don't think the Hawks were a fluke last year. I think they accelerated the process a little bit, but once Nate McMillan took over, this was like a top 5 offense and a top 7 defense or something like that. Like they were incredible on both ends of the floor, and a lot of people would kind of rebut that with saying, well, yeah, but now teams are going to be prepared for him. And it's like, yeah, that's true, but also now Nate McMillan gets a training camp with these guys, a preseason with these guys, gets to practice with these guys. Like I don't think people realize practices didn't happen last year in the NBA. Like they just didn't. Now they don't happen as much as people may assume they do, but they didn't happen last year. And so now you get these coaches who have an opportunity to work on stuff in season with teams. I think for a young team like the Hawks, because they still are very young, and the way Trae Young transformed his game mid-season and stopped trying to be, a scorer and was way more of a pass first point guard and everything. John Collins really excelled. Clint Capella was incredible, and their wing core is deep and it's young and it's healthy now. I think as long as they're knocking down outside shots at a top 10 clip, which I think they can consistently, I think this Hawks team is just really, really good and really smart.
Yeah, and I think offensively, I have no questions at all. They were 8th in offensive efficiency last year. I think they'll be even higher this year. And you said teams have seen it now. It's like, okay, good luck. That'll do you a lot of good against Trae Young. You've seen it now, so you can stop him. I bet. Looking at sticking with the top of the East there, I think there's an interesting dynamic where Brooklyn and Miami are probably teams that are not going to stress too much about the regular season record. And I think Miami is maybe the biggest candidate for they don't look as great in the regular season as we project them ahead to the playoffs. So if not the regular season record, because they have Kyle and they have Jimmy, so they're a little old, and PJ, they're a little older, and Spoelstra's going to trust his ability in the playoffs. What are you looking for from them to give you confidence that that's a second round team or an Eastern Conference Finals team, even if they only win, 45, 46, 47 games?
I think for them, the big key is going to be, where does that surprise depth come from, right? Who are the 3 guys that are going to be these role players out of nowhere? Where Miami did it again. They found these gems again. They're very, very high on Omer Yurtseven, who's this weird big man that all of a sudden was dominating the Sacramento Summer League, and everyone in Miami got super excited about. Is Max Strus a guy who actually can play for them, or is he just in a pandemic season we have to throw him out there and he'll knock down some shots? Gabe Vincent's going to have to really step up. So And on a team with like Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry and Bam Adebayo and all this stuff, like you're not thinking like, oh, I hope Omer Yurtseven is really good this year. But they actually like need those guys to step up, help them get through the regular season. And then if like one of them is capable of playing in the playoffs and not being in over his head, then that's going to be big for them. And obviously, like for them, it's just like, is Tyler Hero a professional basketball player or not? Like if Tyler Hero can worry more about like his rotations on offense and his reads in the pick and roll rather than like, is Jack Harlow going to shout me out? Like that's going to be the big key for like how high their ceiling can go, because they do really need him to be that guy off the bench.
So sticking with the East, top of the East last year in the regular season, Philadelphia 76ers, obviously a little bit of drama around that team. Don't want to put you on the spot necessarily for the will Ben Simmons get traded, but you are a guy who I know your basketball game, Zach, and I know you're a three-point line guy. Have you ever done something so objectionable as running through a game or a practice with your cell phone sticking out of your track pants pocket?
I shot a free throw once, kneeling, or kind of squatting, I guess, during a rec league game. But to be fair, I had inexplicably missed 3 free throws in a row. So I was dumbfounded by what was going on, and so I kind of squatted and shot it, and because I was very frustrated with myself, and the other team thought we were showing them up because we were killing them, and maybe we were. I don't know. But that caused a little bit of a parking lot issue, but not with my own team. It was just with the opposing team. With my own team, no. Like I've never thought I should have technology in my pockets right now while I run up and down a floor. And here's the other thing. Okay, because now people are like, well, his practice jersey was in his pocket. It wasn't his cell phone. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to believe that, right? No one's going to believe that at that point. I choose to believe not only that he had a cell phone, but he had a fax machine. He had like a stenographer like hooked up to so he can like have a telegram ready for when Shams Charania reports that he's been traded to the Kings or something like that. Like, that's what I believe. For all I know, he had CIA equipment in there. Like, I don't want to believe that was just his practice jersey and it was like a tag and not his cell phone lit up.
That's the only reason he's come back to the 76ers, is to bug the entire facility so that
100%, exactly. Because that's how you get traded. Him not showing up didn't do anything, clearly. So now he's got to be he's got to be a part of this espionage against the Sixers.
Look, if he learned anything from Jimmy Butler, it's that you have to perform at practice in a way that gets heavily leaked and is no longer tenable. That's how you grease the wheels on a trade and get it moving.
Exactly, and to the point, and then the legend needs to grow. Like, now part of the Jimmy Butler story is that he was wearing a Rolex during that practice, which there's no way he was wearing a Rolex during that practice. But now that, for the next thing we know, he wasn't wearing shoes. That's going to be the next thing that comes out of this. So Ben Simmons has to have that legend grow.
Yeah, and we're gonna hear his version of, Ben Simmons took the third stringers and beat the starters, and then 76ers Twitter is gonna be like, well, yeah, of course, Isaiah Joe and Grant Riller and B-Ball Paul, of course, Jaden
Reed, right?
Yeah, of course, Jaden Springer carried them against the starters. Simmons will still get no credit for it.
They do actually have a lot of really nice young players. It's too bad that they're so good that they can't just tank anymore, because that'd be a fun tanking team. You know what? Don't just trade Ben Simmons. Get Joel Embiid out of there. Let's get back to the tanking 76ers. They were way more fun than this drama here.
You have to make room for the G League MVP getting elevated.
Exactly, and get rid of another G Leaguer. I think Ben Simmons is considered a G Leaguer at this point. It's weird that people don't think he's good at basketball. Like, I get it. He doesn't shoot the ball, but he's exceptional. Like, he's on track for a Hall of Fame career, and people always bristle at that, but he's on pace for points, rebounds, and assists that only Jason Kidd and LeBron James have amassed in a career.
And this is why it's important to watch these games as well, and that's why also playoffs has to matter.
Because he's the second or third best defensive player in the league.
Yeah,
too.
And that's awesome, and that's really, really good. And then we should be, and I was actually almost really disrespectful, because I was like, then let's put Tony Allen in. And obviously he's a better basketball player than Tony Allen was. I don't know. I think that the Simmons thing now is, you have to think about the situation you're putting him in too. That it is beyond just his basketball ability, because he is good. Like, that's pretty clear. Like, he's very good. I've been advocating that the Raptors trade Siakam for him this entire offseason. I'm like, I actually think that if you could do that trade and you're the Raptors, you can get that done straight up. what's Philly going to get better than Siakam? And to me, the Raptors are upgrading as at the player. And then they drafted Scotty Barnes, and it kind of threw things into the blender because I don't think that you can have both those guys on the same team. But I am someone who looks at it and says Ben Simmons has been disrespected. Like, I keep looking at the landscape of who won't trade for him, and I keep looking at every single bad team. And I hate to say this, I'm sorry, Raptors fans, but I do think about the Raptors in regards to this trade because the Raptors are never signing a Ben Simmons. No one's ever coming here willingly of that caliber. So you try and trade for that guy. And so I just don't get the idea that all these other franchises, and even this includes Portland when they have the Damian Lillard thing, and I say, are you sure you're going to keep Damian Lillard? Like, how are you going to make sure that he's happy? Because if not, I actually think that that's a trade chip that you should consider. Ben Simmons is good. Try to figure out a way to get Ben Simmons. I don't know. I guess some teams want to just let it go to a point where his value is nothing. The only counter to it is two things. One is like, I don't know what Ben Simmons is ever going to be in a playoff series because he's not going to be your go-to scorer, and I don't know if he's your number two. And the other part of it is, what is his personality with the other guys around him? Like, you see the way Danny Green talked about him the other day. Like, Danny Green's like the ultimate teammate guy, and he's at the podium after vouching for Ben Simmons all offseason. He's like, I don't know. I guess if he comes here and does his job, he can come here and do his job. I'm like, oh, Danny Green gave up on you. It's bad. This is real bad. This is really, really bad.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, I mean, I think for Philly, like in Portland, like that deal is always going to be on the table. Mm-hmm. If Dame decides he wants out, because I think Daryl Morey is holding out for that, and he's going to endure that awkwardness as long as he can, no matter how many cell phones and iPads that Ben Simmons practices with. Like I think he's going to endure all these things because he's super stubborn and he wants Damian Lillard. But the idea, like you're right, like the idea that Sacramento could say like, well, I don't think we want Ben Sacramento. You just had the second worst defense in NBA history. Yeah. You haven't made the playoffs since The Departed came out in movie theaters in 2006. Like that, like the idea. Yeah, you don't know what he's going to be in the playoff series. Get to a playoff series. For someone like them, like there are some teams where they're saying, I don't think we want Ben Simmons. I'm like, who do you think you are? Yeah. Because you have De'Aaron Fox? Like, get out of here.
Tyrese Halliburton, like the idea that Tyrese Halliburton is some type of an untouchable player to go get Ben Simmons.
He's really nice.
Yeah, sure.
He's a nice player, but you also just drafted Davion Mitchell. There, problem solved. You've replaced him. You're good.
Again, I don't know what the holdup is. At this point, there should be a bidding war for Ben Simmons. I get Daryl Morey holding on to him. I understand Daryl Morey's position here. I really do. Where he's like, someone is eventually going to wake up and go, we can get Ben Simmons. We should try to go out and get Ben Simmons. I just think that it's very strange to me that these other teams aren't doing this. And I would say, okay, your reservation has to be that it's the personality that plays a huge part in this. It's not just the ability. Zach Harper, former NBA writer, former host of Count the Dings podcast network. Thanks so much for making time for us today. That was great.
Thank you, guys. We'll be live on Twitter at Athletic NBA Show at 3 p.m. Eastern today. Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. And JD, I'm sorry your team sucked.
Oh, it's fine.
Thanks, Zach.
You don't get the Hornets. It's fine. See you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Not bitter at all, eh?
Again, it's one of those things where I'm not. Because when you're confident and you know the truth, it doesn't matter what other people say about you, right? It's what is it? The lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep. I'm LeBron in this